Good evening. I'll call to order the Thousand Oaks City Council meeting for Tuesday, September 11th, 2018. If you'd all please stand, please. Good evening, Madam Clerk. Could you call the roll for tonight's meeting, please?
Councilmember Bill De La Pena. Present.
Councilmember Price.
Here.
Councilmember Adam.
Here.
Councilmember McCoy.
Present.
Mayor Fox.
Here. Item 4 is a request for continuance of any public hearing or agenda item. Do you have any items that we need to continue? Hearing none, we'll move to item 5. That's all special presentation. For a special presentation tonight, I'm going to invite our city manager, Drew Powers, and our finance director, John Adams, to the podium. We're recognizing John's service to the city, 12 years. He'll be leaving the city for a new adventure, and so we're very, very pleased to honor his great service to our community. Mr. Powers.
A bit of a bittersweet evening for us as we recognize our longtime finance director, John Adams, who will be heading off to new endeavors up in San Francisco, where he's the new CFO for the California State Bar. So we're very proud of him for that accomplishment, but we're obviously sad to see him go. John's been a fixture on our executive team for many years, been with the organization for about 12 years. John has his thumbprints on some of the most important actions that the council has taken over the course of the last decade. And in large part, you have John to thank for many of the recent actions. I think most namely, as we were referencing yesterday with him as the executive team was acknowledging him, the action to stabilize our PERS accounts and those actions that you took back in July, that was in large part to John's leadership. His efforts he followed in the tenure of Candace Hong and Bob Berry, two long-serving finance directors, and as John likes to say yesterday, Mayor Fox always references that he's his third favorite finance director over the course of those years that you've been here. But I know many of John's finance department colleagues and executive colleagues are here this evening. We had a little fun with him yesterday in roasting some of his more memorable moments here. We'll spare the audience that since we have an agenda to get to, but we wanted to take a moment here in all seriousness to recognize John, his tremendous contributions to the organization. We have a proclamation for him. And I'll just read the first portion. John Adams, who dedicated over 12 years of service to the city and citizens of Thousand Oaks. He was hired in 2006 as a deputy finance director, promoted to finance director in July of 2009. He's served as a past president of the California State Municipal Finance Officers Association, been on multiple League of California Cities committees, and chaired one of the Visioning 2064 committees. His focus on long-term financial sustainability for the city has been a guiding principle and have served the residents of Thousand Oaks well. I know John's got a few things to say, but I wanted to give the council an opportunity to share anything that they had first.
We most certainly will. Let me start on the end with Mr. Adam, and then we'll just work our way down.
Thank you, Mayor. Hey, John. So you're definitely leaving at the top of your game. You really are, and you're leaving the city in great shape, and that you have had a lot to do with that. I've been around long enough to understand that. Through your advice, as Drew pointed out, we've been able to help our theaters out. We've been able to keep our streets in great shape. Our pension stabilization fund, it was your idea. It's going to save the taxpayers millions of dollars in the long run, and that's something you've done for all of us. And most important, over the years, you've avoided the pitfalls that a lot of other CFOs in different cities have managed to ensnare themselves in. Risky investments, overly generous pensions. You've steered clear of all that and kept the budget very clean. I mean, I'm in Finance Audit Committee. We get a stellar grade every time, and I've been on it for 6 years now. And you and your staff have gotten some great awards because of that, and that speaks to your leadership and to the great people that you surround yourself with. And so you're going to San Francisco, right?
I am.
Okay, so every time the Dodgers beat the Giants,
I'll be there.
I'll think of you. And every time the Rams beat the Niners, I'll think of you, Chad.
Or Oakland.
Or Oakland, yeah, that
right.
too. So Anyway, it's been great working with you. It really has, and appreciate all you've done for the city. I wish you a tremendous amount of luck in your new endeavor.
All right, thank you, Al.
Mr. Price.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not too many people get to work side by side with their father, and I think those 12 years you've spent working with your father at the helm here has probably been memorable for you. I had hoped to be able to address your wife tonight, but
No,
Ms. Adams, are you here?
she's watching on TV.
Oh, okay.
She specifically asked me what channel.
Yeah,
So,
I don't.
with the other 18 million
And you
people.
probably told her 11, didn't you? Now, we had a little fun with that last night as well, and
You did.
I hope that tonight you can actually go home and sleep at home tonight. But because I understand she missed the other events that were held for you
Yes,
in your
she
honor.
did, and that was my fault.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, as I mentioned last night, as a member of the National League of Cities, I get to tout Thousand Oaks, and when I first became active at the National League there, I didn't think that anybody knew where the city of Thousand Oaks was. But nothing could be further from the truth. They all know about the city of Thousand Oaks, and it is because of its well-run, well-managed, its fiscally sound policies that they know about us. And that's in no small part due to your guidance, your mentorship. So I thank you for everything that you've done for the city of Thousand Oaks and its residents, of which you have been one. So
I have.
a little self-serving, but that's okay. So with that, thanks. I wish you all the best. And
Thank you very much.
again, do not go to any of the restaurants that our city manager suggested.
Got it.
See me for the list.
I've done that so far.
Mr. McCoy.
John, coming in as a rookie, especially when somebody's running for office, they hear about all the mismanagement of the city, and you have to run on the things that you feel the city is inappropriately doing. But then when you get on the council and you have a chance to see how the sausage is made, I guess is the best way to describe it, I realize what a remarkable city we have, in large part to your efforts. The sound fiscal condition of our city is directly responsible to your efforts. And I've learned so much from you, and I'm so grateful. I take great heart in knowing that you're going to be modeling sound fiscal responsibility to our future attorneys of the state. And so I ask God's richest blessings on you, and I thank you for your service to our city.
Thank you, Rob.
Ms. Bill De La Pena.
Thank you, Mayor Fox. Mr. Adams, John, I too echo the same sentiments. I wish you all the very best, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your contributions to the city. Indeed, Thousand Oaks is fiscally sound, and as our city manager mentioned, you know, your thumbprint is on this. Your last hurrah was saving the city and the taxpayers over $15 million in pension refinancing, so to speak, and that was thanks to you. You are leaving the city in great shape, and I hope that your new environment will be as much fun, if not more, so as Thousand Oaks has been and as we have been. So again, thank you very much. Thank you to your family, and I wish you the best of luck in San Francisco.
Thank you.
Okay. I think for those watching at home and some of the folks that are here tonight, from time to time we get an opportunity to talk about our outstanding city staff. And unfortunately, it's generally when they're going to leave and promote or go somewhere. And I echo all my colleagues' comments about John's expertise, his professionalism as a finance director. I think it's safe to say we would not be in the fiscal shape that we're in if we're not for John and all the members of the finance team. And I often kid him, he is my third favorite finance director because actually he stepped into some shoes, first with Candace Hong and then before that with Bob Berry, where we've had a history of strong financial management in our community. And certainly it starts with the folks in finance. But beyond that, John's a tremendous person. I've got to know him very well over the years, sitting on the committees and going to us like football games. It's been really a pleasure to getting to know him personally. He has a very dry, funny sense of humor. He is, I kid Miss Noonan all the time. She's always the smartest person in the room, unless John's there.
Thank you, Andy.
And then it's a little bit of a crapshoot. Not quite sure, because he is brilliant. Not quite sure, based on that brilliance, you're leading a bunch of local council members to go work with a bunch of attorneys. I'm not quite sure that's is she going to hit me? Is anybody
No.
Is she going to hit me? Okay. So not quite sure the wisdom there, but we do wish you the best. And as you said the other day, it's not goodbye. You're just going to a different place, and I'm sure our paths will cross again. But it's been a pleasure knowing you, and really, we have been a blessed community because of your service. So thank you.
Thank you. I jokingly told Tracy that going up to State Bar, now it's me against lots of attorneys, and it's a fair fight. So,
Exactly. Right.
Anyway, this is amazing. I have been blessed and honored with your trust, and when you talk about that, to be the finance director and to follow footsteps of people like Candace and Bob, there's a certain expectation, and they have been supportive. I mean, Bob I talk to often, and he gives me great advice, and he's a dear friend. But the trust that you have given me as the treasurer and the finance director, and that means, I can't explain how much that means to me personally. And it's trying not to cry, or at least waterworks. And it was funny because I joked yesterday I might cry. So let me, it again has been amazing. Andy, you talked about the finance department. I have tremendous staff, and they are tremendous people. I have 100% confidence in that department to keep the mantle going. Jamie Boscarino, who will be the interim, is amazing. I worked with her 12 years. I have been impressed with her the whole time. And the city, we can talk about finance directors, but it is the leadership of the council. And Al talked about the Audit Finance Committee, and a lot of stuff has happened in the Audit Finance Committee that has given us that support and that vision. And you guys, and even past councils, when Andy talks about the history of past councils, we're at the place we are because of that history. And your leadership, the tone that you set at the top, and the ethics that you expect your staff to be employing, and the community service that you expect is just amazing. So it has been, I will tell you, just amazing to work for the city of Thousand Oaks. And I was telling Claudia this last night, it's a world-class organization. And not just are we envy, people in the county, at the state, and I think Joel even said at the national level. And that's because of the staff, and that's because of the council and the leadership. So with that, I do question the judgment of working with a bunch of attorneys. It will either be a great decision or maybe not the greatest decision. But it will be fun, and it isn't goodbye. It's just, I'll see you soon. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be your finance director, city treasurer. So thank you.
Congratulations, John.
Doesn't come for a picture, Alpha.
I didn't cry, right?
Nope.
With that, we'll move to item 6. That's our public comment. Madam Clerk, could you call public comment, please?
This is a time and place for public comments. A speaker card is available for those wishing to address the City Council regarding items on the agenda or on a subject within the city's jurisdiction. Speakers for public hearing items shall be called and heard during the public hearing. All remarks should be addressed to the council as a whole, and all documents for City Council and the official record should be presented to the city clerk prior to speaking. Speakers are requested to state their name and community of residence for the record. Under state law, public comment matters may not be considered by the council unless listed on the agenda, but may be referred to the city manager for administrative follow-up. 5 individuals have presented cards, and pursuant to council standards, speakers are allowed 3 minutes, and the yellow light displays when you have 1 minute remaining.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. Our first speaker is Ken Kenyon, followed by Mary Ann Kenyon. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm here representing LASA Order of America Oakleaf Lodge. I'm the chairman. We're celebrating our 50th year here in Thousand Oaks, and we're having our anniversary at Saturday, September 22nd at 6 o'clock at the Palm Garden Hotel. And we've done many Scandinavian festivals over the years at California Lutheran University with the other Scandinavians. We're a Scandinavian organization, and just wanted to make sure the community knows about it and everybody here tonight. Here, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Do you want me to go next? Hello, everybody. I have a special invitation for all of you. I hope I can approach to give you this. I just wanted to tell you that I'm wearing my Swedish costume. My mother made the shawl and the apron and the hat. And it's from Dalarna, in Dalarna, Sweden. It's not where she's from. My parents came from Sweden in 1923. My dad was from Dalarna, Sweden, and my mother was from Vänersborg. It's called Little Paris. And the costume I'm wearing is from Dalarna, and that's close to Stockholm. And we came in 2 years ago in the Coneco Valley Parade, and my husband worked at Fox Studios, so he was a Viking. And we had our little children on that parade, and we have a trophy from that. And we've been in the community for many years. We hold a Lucia every year. We have our little girl has a patron saint of light, and we have the little children perform. And I want to invite all of you to our anniversary party, at least you board members, and I hope I can approach to give these invitations to you.
Sure, you can give it to the clerk. Mary Ann, you want to give those dates again?
It's September 22nd.
Okay.
This is to them. Okay, got it. If you could do that for me. And of course, Andy and I have gone back a long time, so I've known you, and you've been very, very nice to me, Andy. Every time, anything I've had to done with you, you've always helped me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All of you on all this council, I want to thank you all for everything. And here's our vice.
I'm the incoming chairman. I had the opportunity to serve in the city of Simi Valley for 5 years, so I do take note of John Adams and all the staff work that goes behind to have any council meeting. And now that we've been here 50 years, my kids used to go up to Vasa Park in the summer, and we own Vasa Park. For 50 years they've owned it, and please come and join in the celebration of international community and international peace. Sorry, 70 years. Our club has been here 50 years. Sorry. Thank you, Mary Ann. So you're invited to come. It's mainly song and dance and a celebration of international brotherhood and sisterhood on the part of the Scandinavians, but it's a worldwide effort to spread goodwill among nations. So thank you, and hope to see you. You're invited.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tall Ross? That was you, okay. Dan Garcia, and following Mr. Garcia will be Joe Kyle. Good evening.
Good evening, Council. I'm here in representing the Greater Coneco Valley Chamber of Commerce, and I'm going to begin my report. So we are hosting a candidates forum October 11th at 6 p.m. It is going to be at CLU, at the CLU Lundring's Event Center, moderated by Dr. Herb Gooch. He is the former chair of the CLU Political Science Department. And this year we're going to be doing something interesting. We're going to host it in 3 parts. and it's going to invite the candidates for the Thousand Oaks City Council, as well as the CVUSD Board of Directors, as well as the VCCCD trustee for the Thousand Oaks area. And this event is free and open to the public, and we hope that people can come. Next thing on my report is the Coneco Chamber Open House, which is going to be on October 16th at 4:30 p.m. Our chamber has undergone renovations and going through a remodel, and we upgraded the office technology, so we have a lot to show you folks, and we hope that you can come. There's going to be food and beverage, and hopefully y'all can come. Last thing on my report is Taste of Coneco, which is on November 9th. It is going to be hosted at the Four Seasons Hotel in Westlake Village. We are signing up vendors to sample food and beverage, and tickets will be on sale soon. I would also like to thank Ingrid Hardy for coming to our Board of Directors meeting today to introduce herself. We greatly appreciate that. And unless the council has any more questions, that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our final speaker is Joe Kyle. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello, Mayor Fox, Mayor Pro Tem McCoy, City Council members and city staff. My name is Joe Kyle. I'm a resident of Newry Park. It is unfortunate this council has decided to go against the poll this own city took to allow delivery into this city. It is unfortunate this city opposed SB 1302, the Senate bill allowing delivery into all cities across California. It is unfortunate this city council has a voice high up within the League of California Cities that has opposed the new regulations that states delivery services can deliver to any city within California as they should. It's unfortunate the city is now trying to reinforce the locally mandated monopoly they themselves created, not allowing for fair competition by potentially 20 years, as stated in the most recent Acorn article regarding cannabis. I will be contacting the city staff to get the contract that was just entered into by the city with Legendary Organics. It is also fortunate for the people within this community that the California State Cannabis Advisory Committee, made up of a broad range of business owners, legislatures, and even some police analysts at the state level, have voted in favor of these regulatory changes, allowing for license base of operations to deliver into every city. Even if these regulatory changes do not pass as is, and the League of City wins their ways, which also food for thought at the LA meeting, the BCC meeting, the Bureau of Cannabis Control meeting, the League of California Cities put representation up that stated that they were going to sue the BCC if the regulations passed as is. And then about a few speakers after, another entity came up and said that they're going to sue the California BCC if the regulations do not pass as is, because it's a constitutional right. I mean, if you order pharmaceuticals, can you get pharmaceuticals delivered in this city? If you order alcohol from Vons and you get a grocery delivery, can you get alcohol delivered? Can Pizza Man Dan's, which has a delivery for alcohol in the city of Ventura, deliver alcohol to people's homes? Yes. Sorry, I got to unlock my phone really quick. Technology. So even if these regulatory changes do not pass as is, not allowing for fair competition within the city, we will run a voter initiative on delivery, allowing for delivery termination within this city. This city's own polls show we have the support. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Joe. That completes our public comments. We'll move to item 7. That's our consent calendar. Any items council would like to call special? Ms. Bilodeau-Pena.
Item 7J, just for housekeeping purposes.
7J. Any others? All right, hearing none, I need a motion for the balance of the consent calendar. Mr. Adam.
Thank you, Mayor. Move the balances consent calendar.
Mr. Adam moves. Discussion? Prepare the vote, please.
The motion carries 5-0.
And that is approved. Item 7J, Ms. Bilodeau-Pena.
Item 7J was a 4-1 vote last week, so for housekeeping purposes, I'm voting against it. So if someone else could make the motion.
All right, very good. Mr. Adam?
Yes, move 7J.
Okay, Mr. Adam moves 7J. Discussion, prepare the vote.
The motion passes 4-1 with Councilmember Bill De La Pena voting no, and I have your ordinance approving a development agreement with Latico Group LLC relating to the development of property located at 299 East Thousand Oaks Boulevard, DAGR 2018-70228, the Latico Group LLC, ordinance number 1651 NS.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. All right, that moves us to item 8. That's our public hearing. Ms. Rodriguez, could you call item 8A for public hearing, please?
Hearing advertised as required by law is open to consider agenda item 8A regarding Community Development Block Grant Program, Program Year 2017-18, Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. A speaker card is available for those wishing to address the City Council regarding this public hearing, and currently we do not have any speaker cards.
Thank you. Mr. Gilly, you're going to handle this?
Yes.
All right, very good. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. This is an annual report to HUD on the expenditures of the Cdbg funds that are provided by HUD to the city and then transferred on to local agencies and nonprofits. The draft CAPER report was provided to the council under separate cover. And just for this presentation, I will be verbally rounding all figures to the nearest 1,000. So if the numbers I say don't exactly match what's on the screen, that is why. The total budget for program year 2017-18 was $935,000, which consisted of a Cdbg grant of $558,000 and $377,000 in surplus or unexpended funds from the prior years. The table on the screen matches Table 1 in the agenda report and summarizes all the expenditures and balances. In particular, we'll focus on the community projects. The expenditures for the community projects included work by Many Mansions, SAFE, and Habitat for Humanity. Many Mansions provided energy-efficient rehab of 26 low-income units at Richmond Terrace. SAFE rehabbed 16 mobile homes for seniors at Ranch and Thunderbird Oaks. And Habitat rehabbed 3 homes owned by low-income residents. Those expenditures added up to the $315,000 shown on the screen. There is a balance left of $393,000. Much of that is assigned to projects for MANA, SAFE for another round of mobile home rehabs, and 2 additional homes that Habitat are going to rehab in this year. The next line in the table is for public services, and the city sets aside 15% of the Cdbg grant for public services, and then adds an additional $100,000 from the Social Services Endowment Fund. But for the purposes of the CAPER, we are only going to be focusing on the Cdbg grants. 6 organizations received the $84,000 in Cdbg funds. They served over 5,000 Thousand Oaks residents, 4,800 of which were low income, and each organization fully utilized their funding. So that brings us back to the table, and the end results are the total expenditures for the program year was $510,000, and there will be a carryover balance of $429,000 that goes into the next program year. Staff is recommending that council approve the program year CAPER for submittal to HUD, and staff's available for any questions.
Questions for council? All right, we have no questions. We have no public comment cards. It's a public hearing, so I'm going to close the public hearing. And Mr. Adam.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the report to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
All right, Mr. Adam moves.
8A.
All right, Mr. Adam moves. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, prepare the vote.
The motion carries 5-0.
And that is approved. Move to item 9, that's our department reports. Item 9A is consideration of a comprehensive general plan update in conjunction with the next housing element cycle. Peter, you can handle this one too?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Tonight is a continuation of past discussions from March 20th and May 1st about a general plan update. And the discussion is timely based on the confluence of new state laws and the upcoming housing element cycle. First, want to start off with some background on the general plan. The state requires each community have a general plan that describes the vision for the community for the next 15 years. The plan is to include goals, objectives, and policies that encapsulate community values and show how to achieve the community's vision. The state recommends that comprehensive updates to the general plan occur every 15 years in order to keep the plan up to date with changing demographics, new laws, potential changes in community values and priorities. Recently, in 2017, the state published an update to their general plan guidelines, which also included new general plan requirements based on recent state laws. We attached to the agenda report the first 3 chapters of the general plan guidelines for your reference. For the city of Thousand Oaks, the general plan was originally adopted in 1970, and there have been several amendments to various elements of the plan over time. The city has not yet prepared a comprehensive update. The state office, or the governor's office of planning and research, sent a survey out to all communities in the state, all the counties and cities in the state. And one of the questions was when they had last prepared a comprehensive update of their respective general plan. And a summary of the survey results are on the screen and in the agenda report. 144 updated their general plan between 2000 and 2010, and another 100 between 2011 and 2017. Another 103 anticipated starting a comprehensive update by 2020. I mentioned that the general plan is required to have goals, objectives, and policies. They're intended to cover 8 topic areas that are shown on the screen as required. Typically, each of these topic areas is a separate element or chapter of the general plan, although it should be noted that the state allows for communities to combine or topic areas into fewer elements because many of the issues are interrelated. The state also allows communities to have goals, objectives, and policies for other topic areas. And as shown on the screen, the city has 6 additional elements that we have prepared for our general plan. Arguably, 2 of the most important topic areas are land use and circulation. Land use policies and the land use map itself show where various land uses are allowed in the city and generally describe how the city expects to grow. The circulation element then describes the methods of transportation within the city and necessary improvements to manage the growth of the community. The city's last amendments to the land use and circulation elements occurred in 1997. The housing element is another part of the general plan, one that the state has a significant amount of control over through the State Department of Housing and Community Development. The housing element is the only part of the general plan that the state requires a regular update and is the only part of the general plan that the state has to certify. We have a deadline to adopt a new housing element in fall of 2021. The housing element will be based on a regional housing needs allocation or ARENA number from the state that represents the housing growth that the city must plan for. We are scheduled to receive the ARENA number in fall of 2019. Since housing growth is such a sensitive topic, and because of the interrelatedness of housing and land use issues, staff believes incorporating a general plan update into the next housing element cycle will be the most effective way to optimize community engagement. The staff report also outlined other benefits a general plan update could have for the city. First off, it will provide a refreshed vision for the next 15 years of the community. The updated general plan can also provide a framework of policies that can guide staff and council. With the current general plan, there are several issues that arise in present day that were not anticipated in 1970 or in 1997. An updated general plan can give us some policy guidance on those type of issues. The updated plan will also can also serve as a good tool for the public in placing all of the relevant goals, policies, and objectives into a single document that is makes local government more transparent. Also, on the topic of fiscal sustainability, an updated general plan would analyze what the proposed land use map of the future would be, and allow us to determine what the likely tax base that land use map would provide for, to ensure that we can maintain all of our current levels of service. The updated plan can help manage future growth by identifying where and how much new growth is allowed to occur. And the updated plan can also result in stronger neighborhood protections. There's a trend with new housing laws at the state level that are seeking to limit local control over new housing development, and having stronger policies and language in the general plan can be a tool for ensuring that new development does not encroach into neighborhoods. General plan updates can be time-consuming and costly. Staff reached out to consultant firms that completed more than one comprehensive update for a city in California in 2017 and inquired about timeframes and costs. And the feedback was that the process would likely be 3 years, and the cost estimated to be in the range of $1.5 million. It's a significant cost, but if you consider the document will be a guide for the community for 15 years, the per year cost equates to $100,000 a year. Typical funding sources for general plan updates include the general fund, grants, and fees. Specifically on the grant side, there was a state law passed last year, SB 2, that provided a source of funding for planning documents, but that funding for planning documents would only be available in 2019. The grant, based on state documentation, could be up to $250,000 based on our population. Other grants may be available as well, and staff would pursue those as well. For fees, it's not uncommon for a city to put in place a long-range planning fee onto building permits to repay a portion of the general fund for some of the costs of the general plan update. There are three main components of the general plan: public engagement, the preparation of the document, and the environmental impact report. And the two most time-consuming and costly components are the public engagement portion and the environmental impact report portion. The public engagement portion is critical because the intent of the plan is to identify the community's vision for the next 15 years. And the environmental impact report is a required element, a required feature based on CEQA to analyze any type of environmental impacts that could occur from the general plan vision. So for the most part, the primary costs are not something that can be reduced in a significant manner. That leads to the options for tonight. Staff is requesting council authorization to solicit proposals for a general plan update, specifically for a comprehensive update. But the request would include an alternative for a focused update just of the land use, housing, and circulation elements. There's the possibility that a focus update may be less cost and take a shorter time frame. And by asking consultant firms to provide the city with the estimated costs and timeframes for a comprehensive and a focused, then the council will be able to make a decision on which approach to take based on actual estimates. There is the option to not begin a general plan update and wait for the RENA allocation to come forward in late 2019. Staff does not recommend this option primarily because of the challenge of identifying new housing sites without as much time for meaningful community engagement. So with that, staff requests council authorization to solicit proposals for a comprehensive update and for the alternative for pricing and timelines for a focused update. The staff expects to bring the top proposal back to council on the 27th of November, where council can choose the comprehensive or focused approach, as well as decide on whether to approve the consultant contract. That concludes the staff presentation, and we're available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gilly. And questions for staff? Mr. Price.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one, the focused review would only include the housing, circulation, and land use elements. Is that correct? Is that what you said?
It would include those and any other areas that the state now mandates we update.
Okay. That's what I thought. Thank you.
We had no speaker cards on this, right, Ms. Rodriguez? Oh, okay. All right. Any other? Mr. Adam.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So we were presented with three options, and the comprehensive option, we'd update all 13 elements, the mandatory as well as the optional. That would cost $1,500,000 and take 3 years, correct?
That's the estimated cost and time frame.
Estimated. And we pay for that by generating a new fee through the Community Development Department, potentially, as well as taxpayer-funded grants and money from the general fund.
Those are the typical ways that general plan updates are.
And as my colleague said, Councilmember Price, we have a focused approach where we just do circulation, land use, and housing, and that would cost $1,200,000 and probably take the same 3 years to do, correct? That's what the staff report said anyway.
Our estimate is the cost would be around 75% of the total, and the time frame is likely to be about the same, but if we do get authorization to go out for a proposal for either option, then council will get the actual estimate from consultants on each approach.
All right. And option 3 wasn't fleshed out quite as much, but I'm curious, that would update the housing element, meet the state requirements, incorporate the RENA numbers into our Measure Bank or balance sheet, whatever you want to call it, and would update the housing element. How much would that cost and how much time would that take?
If we chose to only update the housing element, we would get the RENA number in late 2019, and we would have to complete it in 2 years because the housing element is due in late 2021. We don't, at this point, have an estimate of what the cost would be.
We don't? I'm assuming it'd be substantially less than option 1 and 2, wouldn't it?
It should be, but it also depends on the extent of the RENA allocation. If it's a large enough allocation, the housing element itself might require us to update other elements to change land uses enough to meet the RENA number.
All right. So at this time, you don't know. But I could assume it would be substantially less than the first two and take substantially less time. Could I not?
It would be a 2-year period, and the cost would be easily under $500,000.
All right. Thank you.
If I could also add, when you adopt a housing element, it's subject to CEQA just as any other elements of the general plan are. So if we get a RENA number that requires us to amend our general plan to redesignate land to meet our RENA obligations, it will require a general plan amendment to our land use map, and it may also prompt, well, it will prompt CEQA review, whether that would be done via an MND or an EIR. That would depend on the number of units that would be allocated to the city under RENA. So it could end up being that you have to ultimately do the housing element, the land use map, and comply with CEQA.
Well, it could, but I would like to get a little more fleshing out of that option. I don't feel like the staff report gave us much on that, and cost is definitely a consideration, and so is time. And I want to know a little bit more about option 3.
The recommendation is actually to authorize staff just to go out and request proposals. So we're not, as I understand it, we're not making a decision tonight on option 1, 2, or 3. We're kind of what Mr. Adams talking about. We're going to authorize staff to go out, bring back the details.
Yeah, and we're not making any decision on anything tonight, but I'm just talking about when they come back to us. I have a few other things I want to know too.
Mr. Powers.
Just to follow up on that point, Councilmember Adam, we will ensure that in the request for proposals document that we're seeking a full fleshed out itemization of what that number 3 piece would be, just to ensure that your needs are met.
Any other questions? Just a final thought, I'm going back to the staff report, page 2. Half the cities since 2000 have done a comprehensive general plan update. There's 500 cities, and 244 of them have done the full comprehensive one, not the focused, and another 103 are plan on having it or starting it by 2020. So it's been quite some time since we've done it. I do think we need to get the information back, but I think a comprehensive plan puts future councils in a solid position. And I also think it folds into the visioning, in some degree, the visioning exercise that we went through a couple years ago. And as Ms. Noonan points out, we may be having to do some of these things anyway because of some state requirements. And then, really, the engagement with the community, I think, is always a plus. There's a lot of questions about housing, traffic, circulation, all the time. And I think this is a great opportunity for the city actually to be kind of out in front, although we haven't done this for a long time, to engage the community into this planning document, if you will. And finally, we're not going to have long-term serving council members, which is something to think about. It's having this document for future councils where your maximum time you can serve is 12 years. I think it'd be very helpful. So, Ms. Bilda-Pena?
Yes, thank you. I do have a question regarding the elements. There are other elements available, such as cultural elements, public health elements, and I was wondering whether those could be options as well. And
in our conversations with the consultants that have done this in other communities, they have stated that adding other optional elements, as you've described, can easily be wrapped into a proposal. The major costs items and time-consuming ones are land use and circulation, because those trigger the most environmental review and such. So adding additional elements is something that would not be difficult.
Okay. All right. I did have another question, but it just escaped me. I was wondering about the additional elements. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Price.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on your comments, Mr. Mayor. I too agree that the opportunity to engage the public not only allows us to hear from them, but also to, in some cases, educate them on, we don't always have those opportunities, but educate them as to what we are mandated to do, what the state requires us to do. Because I do see that from time to time there's opposition to requirements that are placed on us by the state. So I do think it's that would be a very interesting part of the process.
Mr. Adam.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a comment. If you all remember, this discussion about the general plan came during the Measure E debate that we had, where we found out that the land use map entitled the city to a lot more growth than we would ever really realistically have. So that's what prompted this discussion. It the optional elements like social and public buildings and public services or anything like that. I'm not trying to denigrate the importance of those, but let's remember where this discussion started. And you brought up visioning. I would, as staff, if you would please look at that visioning a little closer as to how we can incorporate this. I mean, when you talk about public outreach, we spend a year on that and talk to hundreds of people in the public. So it seems to me visioning could perhaps even obviate the need for a consultant or some of these expenses, and we could work the visioning facts into this general plan update and really save ourselves some money. And why go over ground twice? I mean, the public outreach with that was enormous. And I will just also say too that these elements have all been updated over time. The mandatory elements have been updated. I mean, I have it here. Housing was updated in 2013, safety in 2014, conservation 2013, open space 13. So it isn't like we haven't updated these elements for 30 years. We've updated them continuously as we've gone along. We've even updated some of the optional elements. The forest element was updated in 17, recreation in 2012. So we are keeping pace with the realities of the city. So let's keep that in mind too. I just want to look at all the options here and try to incorporate as much of the work we've done in the past for what we want to talk about here in the future.
Ms. Bill De La Pena.
I withdraw my request. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. We have no speaker cards on this item. It's a departmental report. So what's the pleasure of the council? The recommendation is to authorize staff to solicit the proposals and then come back to council. Mr. Adam.
Yeah, I'll move just that. Solicit the proposals, come back to council. Please incorporate some of the remarks that you've heard tonight with the report that you come back to us with.
All right.
I move that.
Mr. Adam moves 9A. Discussion on his motion. Hearing none, prepare the vote, please.
That motion carries 5-0.
All right, and that is approved. We have no items in number 10 or 11. That moves us to item 12. That's the council issues recommendation. And 12A. Mr. Rogers, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Fox, members of the City Council. Tonight, the council is considering the compensation and Second Amendment to the employment agreement with the city manager, Andrew Powers, and compensation and Fifth Amendment to the employment agreement with the city attorney, Tracy Newton. The first item, 12A, is regarding the city manager. As you know, the City Council reviews the city manager performance on an annual basis. His performance review for fiscal year 2017-18 was completed on August 28th. The changes tonight for your consideration regarding the existing agreement are an increase in annual salary effective June 30th, 2018 from $244,618 to $259,295, and more explicitly including the provision of 40 hours of annual leave, which is provided by existing contract language. Those are the items regarding the city manager's contract amendments, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions for Mr. Rogers? All right, we have none. We have no speaker cards, Ms. Rodriguez? Okay. All right. We need a motion for 12A to approve. Mr. Price.
Thank you. I would move staff's recommendation. I just want to say that our city manager is doing an outstanding job, having stepped in under questionable circumstances, and since that time, I think he's done a great job of moving the city forward. There have been a lot of changes. They are all for the betterment of the city, and he's deserving of every bit of this. And with that, I would, again, move staff recommendation.
All right. Mr. Adam, did you have a comment? You were queued up. Ms. Bill De La Pena.
I will approve the motion. I, too, agree that our city manager as well as the city attorney have ushered the city into the next era that is really effective. There's more transparency and just stronger leadership, and I really appreciate that, and that should be reflected in the compensation. So I will approve this motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, prepare the vote, please.
The motion carries 5-0.
And that is approved. Mr. Rogers, item 12B.
12B is regarding the city attorney performance evaluation, and like the city manager, you review her performance annually. Her review for fiscal year 2017 was also completed on August 28th. The changes tonight for your consideration to the city manager agreement are an increase in annual salary effective June 30th, 2018, from $251,606 to $261,670, and an adjustment to annual leave from the current accrual schedule provided to executive staff 35 days at an 8-hour per day rate per year to accrue each January 1, and to more explicitly include the provision of 40 hours of annual leave provided by existing contract language. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Mr. Rogers on the items for Ms. Noonan? All right, hearing none. We have no speaker cards on this item as well. Okay. We need a motion.
I move to approve staff recommendation 12B.
Mr. McCoy moves. Discussion on his motion. Hearing none. Prepare the vote, please.
The motion carries 5-0.
And that is approved. We'll give Mr. Powers a moment to sprint on back here. And we'll move to item 13. That's the city manager's report. Welcome back.
Thank you so much, Mayor Fox. Our next regularly scheduled city council meeting will be held on 2 weeks from tonight, Tuesday the 25th of September. That evening we'll have one special presentation from our library on our Thousand Oaks Read program. We will have one public hearing, public franchise authorization for California Water Service Company, and several departmental reports. A financial update from our interim finance director, Jamie Boscarino, and we will have a pre-screen for the City Ventures Pinecrest School site that will be held that evening as well. That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Mr. Powers. Item 14 is closed session. Ms. Noonan.
Thank you, Mayor Fox. We have two closed session matters tonight pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. Both of them are for real property negotiations. First property is 1868 Thousand Oaks Boulevard. Negotiating on behalf of the city's Andrew Powers, City Manager, Jamie Boscarino, Hader Alawami, and Larry Cosmont companies. Negotiating parties are 1868 TEO LLC, under negotiation, purchase of properties, including price and terms of payment. And the second property is property located as 1826 Oakwood Drive. Same negotiating parties on behalf of the city. Negotiate on behalf of the property owner is Scott and Danita Lease Trust. Again, under negotiation, purchase of properties, including price and terms of payment. It is unlikely I'll have anything to report.
Thank you, Ms. Noonan. And with that, we will move to adjournment. We will be adjourning to our regular meeting on September the 25th, 2018. Have a great week.